I used to get so frustrated when talking to men, especially during texting or on early dates, because many of them would talk mostly about themselves. They rarely asked any questions back to get to know me. And it felt like it was kind of a one-sided conversation. And honestly, it used to irritate me a lot. I'd think to myself, how self-centered do you have to be to go on and on about yourself without even asking me one single thing? But then I realized something. Yes, some men are just self-absorbed, period. But many are simply not used to expressing themselves emotionally through conversation. Even highly educated and accomplished men often connect through actions than through words. And that's actually more aligned with the masculine energy, whereas women, especially in their feminine energy, are naturally gifted connecting through warmth, curiosity, and conversation. Men tend to show interest and care through what they do. So, who is responsible for building connection and healthy communication between a man and a woman? Most people would say both, equally. But I've come to believe that in many cases, it's actually the woman who sets the tone, especially in the early stages. And here's why. First of all, he is trying to impress you like a peacock. When a man meets a woman he finds attractive, he may get nervous or overwhelmed. He might go into a presentation mode, talking about his job, his hobbies, his car, his adventures. It's not necessarily arrogance, it's just his way of trying to impress you. And this can actually be a good thing for you. It gives you the chance to observe what his values are, how he thinks, and how his life is structured without you needing to overshare too soon. The second reason may be that he is emotionally not invested yet. So let's be honest. When you first meet, a man might be physically attracted to you, but he is not emotionally connected yet. He may not even be thinking deeply about who you are, not because he doesn't care, but because the emotional bond hasn't been formed yet. And many men worry that asking questions will make it feel like an interview, which I don't agree, by the way. It's all about how the questions are asked. So this is where a woman's energy, intuition, and communication style can gently guide the interaction. So how can you inspire a man to engage in a more meaningful two-sided conversation? Try these 3 simple techniques. 1. Ask open-ended follow-up questions. If he tells you he's into classic cars, instead of just nodding, ask, what was the first car you ever fell in love with? Is there a story why you started collecting them? This shows genuine interest and opens up the door for a real dialogue. After that, if you have a personal story or experience related to his hobby, share it. It's even better if it's a funny or haha type of story. That gives him a natural opening to ask you something in return. The second technique, take a pause. I used to keep asking thoughtful questions one after another, thinking that would keep the conversation flowing. But what I realized is I wasn't giving the man a chance to reflect or feel curious about me. So now, after he answers, I may just comment briefly or smile and then pause. That silence is powerful. It creates space for him to think and ask something back. The third technique is gently tease or invite his curiosity. Sometimes I'll playfully ask something like, I just realized I've been asking you all the questions and I haven't even given you a chance to get to know me. So what are you curious about? Said with smile, this can spark genuine interest and shift the energy. Now, even with all that, some men will still mostly talk about themselves. And in that case, watch what they do, not only what they say. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine was chatting with a guy long distance, and she happened to mention she needed help installing something electrical at home. He offered to come help her and drove 9 hours to do it. He fixed the setup, spent time with her, and never asked for anything in return. Now, during their time together, he still mostly talked about himself, his hobbies, his off-road truck, the drone videos he likes to make over cities, etc. But she saw his commitment, his generosity, and his interest through his action. So remember, some men may not be great with words, but if their energy, attention, and effort are real, you will feel it. And as women, we don't have to force conversations or chase connection, but we do have the power to guide the dynamic gently, wisely, and playfully that only women can. We can use our feminine energy to create emotional space, encourage deeper connection, and stay curious about them while remaining rooted in ourselves. Let him reveal himself at his space and only reveal yourself at yours. You don't need to tell your whole life story on the first or second date. And there are definitely some topics better left for when trust is truly built. But that's a conversation for another video. Now, have you ever been in a one-sided conversation with a man? Did you try any of these techniques, or perhaps do you have your own? I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. Subscribe for more videos on dating, feminine communication, and building a real connection in love.